Hello, welcome to Analytics for All. This lesson is part of SQL Server for data science. This is going to be our introduction to SQL Server. We're going to learn how to install and explore SQL Server. SQL Server, for everybody who doesn't know, is Microsoft's offering in the SQL space. It's been around for a long time. It's very popular. It's used by a lot of businesses. It is a fully powered, fully structured system that it can handle almost anything that comes at it. It's very useful. It exists mostly in the relational database world, but it does have some NoSQL features, I believe, out there. I've never personally used them, but I've heard about them, seen some stuff on them. I do have a link. I'll put it on my website, analyticsforall.org, where you can go ahead and check it out. I've got some of this stuff written down for you. But really quick, SQL Server has what is known, if you go over here and you just type in into Google, download the SQL Server Developer Edition. Then you're going to go search SQL Server downloads. I'm not going to put a link here because this changes all the time with every edition. I don't want you going to a link that's going to die. And as you can see, they have options on Azure. They have what they call the Edge, which Edge computing it's really kind of a cool idea. It's putting processor power, cloud power, the closest to your proximity possible to really get you fast process. And there's on-premise. Now we're going to worry about any of these. What we're going to do is we're going to go down here to developer. And you're going to download the developer edition. This is free. This is 100% free to use, except you cannot ever put this into production. You can't, if you have a small business or something, you can't use it there. Then you got to pay a license. There is Express, which is free. And you can use this for web, desktop, small server applications. And this you can use for a business. If you have a small business, you are absolutely legally allowed to use Express. Express, however, has some limitations you're not going to find that don't exist within developer. Developer will have every function you can use, which are going to go way past the scope of anything we're going to do here, but it's good to have it on hand. Okay, once you download it, you go ahead, you get this developer edition pop up. And again, your version may look different. I'm loading SQL Server 2019. If you watch this a little later, your version may be different. You just go ahead into basic. You're going to accept their terms and conditions. Where you're going to go, install, and it's going to look for all this. Install takes a little bit. It's kind of running its thing here. I would point out this is available. They say it's available for Linux. I've never actually installed one on Linux. I know some guys who have, and they say it works pretty good. I know I asked them, they used in Fedora and the Ubuntu. They put it both on those two. So at least I know those two versions of it seems to work. If you see it there, it actually says, as you're going through it, it says to obtain the SQL Server Linux images, you can go to containers here. So I guess if you search Google, I'm sure you can pull those up. It's really just not something I worry about, but I've seen most people who've done it. Now, when it's done here, finish the installation, you know to start here, install SSMS. This is the tool. This is called SQL Server Management Studio. You're going to need to install that as well. If you forget or you miss this step, you can go up here to right here, download SQL Server Management Studio. That's the tool that lets you into SQL Server, okay? So if you miss this step, you can always go here and download it manually right there. Let's go ahead and pop into SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so this is SQL Server Management Studio. Normally when you pop up, you're going to get this connection. If you don't have the connection box, it should normally pop up first, but not because I shut it down. You can go over here to connect, and you'll see you got options here. Database engine, analysis, integration services, reporting, Azure. We're not going to do any of these right now. We can go into those later. This is for those who are old enough to remember cubes. Hold on, let me see. I'm a little offset here. Let me move this over. There, that's better. Let me hop back over there. So, anybody old enough to remember cubes, that's where analysis serves. Integration services is the ETL tool. This allows you to bring in files, to automate the whole thing. Reporting services is their reporting package. It's kind of like Crystal reporting, that kind of thing. It gives you a nice web interface so you can put up your reports. We're not going to write. We're just going to write to the database engine. Okay, this is going to pop up. It's going to say connect to server. Now, if you installed it on your own computer, it's going to come up with whatever name you have. Just leave that server name as is, what came. Also, you could literally just put a period because it knows it's local, or type in the phrase localhost, because that all knows it's just locally installed. So I'm just going to go back to that. But any one of those will work. Desktop authentication, I'm going to leave that as that. It's just going to log in using your Windows credentials, and we'll just hit connect. Okay. Now, for people kind of brand new to the concept of databases, I want to point out that SQL Server is not a database. This is not a database. Their databases are here. I want you to think of databases as containers. Now, you probably won't have these two. This AdventureWorks is something else you can go ahead and download. This is a great tool to play with if you want to learn how to play with a database. You can look at how many tables this thing has got. It's ridiculous. It's got a whole bunch of tables. It's built on the idea. It's like I want to recall, it's like a sporting goods store. So you got human resources department, you got customers, products, the whole thing, sales. So you can go ahead and play around. It's kind of a neat thing. And you can download it. You just install it as a backup. And I'll probably make a video on how to do that. This Sandbox I made myself. These two system databases and database snapshots, these are populated and they're managed by the SQL Server itself. This is how the SQL Server manages itself. This is how you'll have your users, your rights, all that stuff will sit in here. So this really is more something I wouldn't worry if you're brand new to databases about this at all. This is more of a DBA type function. This is how you do manage the database, that kind of stuff. We get deeper. Other features we have here, just to kind of go through them. We have security. Now security, you can create logins. All right, so you can set up people to be able to log in, including these things called SAs. SAs are what you call a server administrator login. So instead of logging in, because you saw when we came in here, if I go back here, let me bring this back up again. You saw when I came in here, I logged in as Windows authentication. You can also log in as SQL Server authentication. And that's where you'll type in, an SA with your password and get in. But we're not going to worry about that. Real quick cost buttons. This connects to a database object, whether it's server, SSIS instance, that kind of thing. This will disconnect you. Watch, if I go like this, I'm out. Now the server's gone. I have to go reconnect again. Go back in there, bring it back, connect again. Okay. This will refresh. Refreshing is a real pain in the butt with I'll show you with later. Refreshing, it's kind of a, if I had one wish from Microsoft, they'd fix the refresh issue. But anyway, so security, we have logins, we have server roles. So we have these are built-in server roles. You have admins, setup admins, sysadmins, public, disk admin. These are all things that are kind of really above and beyond. Don't worry about it. You kind of come in already as a sysadmin when you install it yourself, so you have full rights. But this is something more of an administrator thing later. So you can set who can see the data, who can do what with the data, who can add, who can delete. Credentials, we didn't add any, but you can put in credentials. Cryptographic providers, if you want to bring in, if you have a third-party cryptography thing, if you don't want to use Microsoft's base to protect your data. Audit, servant audit, I don't worry about that too much. Link servers, triggers, this is all more advanced stuff than these server objects. The backup devices, wouldn't really worry about that right now. Replication, we're not even going to talk about that. The idea of replication is, in a production server, you're normally going to have two of these servers at least. And one is just a backup that sits there and it's replicated to. And that's what the replication does. So if the one server crashes, we have another one up and running so we don't lose time. Polybase, I got to be honest, they don't have it installed. I've never used it, so we're not going to get always on high availability. Again, that has to do with replication, and that's a part of how advanced you want your backup to be. We're not going to worry about that. Management, you have policy, data collection, events, SQL Server logs. This is probably the most important thing is your logs, and that's where you can look and see what goes on. And you have database mail, which we'll probably get into later. That's how you can send out emails by the database. Integration services catalogs. I don't have any integration services set up, but this would be if you created a SSIS system which had like an ETL tool. This is where you connect it. SQL Server agents, I don't have it on. This would be if you're running like live. This is where your jobs would be. So if you wanted to set up manual automated jobs, they would all sit in the agent. And then the profiler, again, I don't worry about it. I don't use it. But let's go ahead and let's just go up to the basics. Let's start with just build a database here. So we're going to go up to databases. And we're going to right click and we're going to say we want a new database. Okay. Now you can see you can restore a database, you can restore from files, reports, all kinds of stuff. But let's just go ahead, get a new database. How easy this is. We'll bring this over. And we're just going to name this new DB test. Okay. And you notice you're creating some logs and all kinds of stuff's already in there. It's already preloads it for you. You know, hold on, it's you got recovery model, all this stuff. We're just gonna leave it as default. We're not gonna worry about any of this stuff right now, only because it's really not that important at this moment. We're more worried about just building a database. So we're just gonna go back up to general here, and we're just gonna hit OK down here. Okay, and now there it is. It popped up, new database. Okay, go in there and you'll look. This is a database. Now, database diagrams, well, we'll do that later. Don't worry about it. Tables. So keep in mind the hierarchy of a database is, in databases, you have databases, and inside databases, you have tables. Tables is what stores your actual data. Think of a table as like an Excel file. Views, we'll go into later. Views are stored queries. Okay. External resources, not going to worry about. Programmability is another thing we go into. Store procedures and functions, database triggers. We'll get into some of this later. We're not in this lesson. Not going to worry about it. And again, security. You can actually go in now and I can create a user that can only get to this database. If I wanted to create a brand new user just for this database, I don't want them to be able to, that way when they log in, they won't even be able to get to the other databases, only theirs. And that's where we can do that at. But let's go ahead and create a table. So we're going to go into here, new database. We're going to right click and we're going to say, oops. Sorry, let's open it up, open the database up, and we're going to right click, let me close this out, on tables, and we're going to say new table, okay? Just the top, and don't worry about all these other things, just go ahead and go table. Okay, this pops up. I'm going to move my screen around so you guys can see a little bit better here. All right, so this comes up. And right in here, you can just manually go in and you can create some table names. So let's go ahead. We're just going to make this really simple. Start with, we'll make this an employee table. We'll say employee name, and this can be a data type. And you're going to notice, beyond just standard varchar, you're going to notice, because we do have standard varchars down here, but you'll notice in above these in varchars. This is kind of, it's, what this allows for is higher level ANSI things, some more symbols, that kind of stuff. It doesn't limit you so much. And this is, you'll find this standard in most Windows things. Now, this one's at 50. The standard small is 255. Max goes up to I want to say something like 65,000 characters, whatever it is. But 50 is enough for a person's name. But and allow nulls. Allow nulls is basically saying that this column, if I have no name, we can still go on. And we'll do that. That's fine. We have employee ID. And we can just make that. We don't want that to be a character. Let's make that a number. Let's go ahead and we'll make that an integer. And for those who don't know, integers are just numbers without any decimals behind them. And we'll just do a last one. We'll do department. Okay, and we'll do this. That's fine. Then we'll go ahead and we're going to go up here and we're just going to, once we hit close, this should auto save. It's going to say save changes and you're going to say yes. Okay, now we're going to ask for a table name. Let's type in a table name. We'll call this imp table. And we'll say okay. All right, now we're going to let's grab the screen over here and drag it back over so we can see. And now when we go into here, when we go back to tables now, you're not, hold on, let me get back in the screen here. There it is, imp table. If you do not see, if that's not in here, right click anywhere here and just hit refresh. It'll refresh and that'll come back up and then it'll be in there. But sometimes it doesn't pop up automatically. Got to look. Now what you want to do here is you can expand on that. You can look at the columns and it'll give you all the column names and the types they are, keys, constraints, indexes, statistics. Again, we'll get into this stuff later. But we can go right here. We can right click on this table and we can say edit top 200 rows. Okay, this is going to pop up. So now here I can go here and I can expand these out a little bit. Just drag them out just like you would if you were working, on Excel. Just drag the columns out. And we're just going to go here. We're going to say employee name. We got Bob, and he's employee 2, and he works for accounting. And then we've got Karen. She's employee 4, and of course she wants to speak to the manager. And then we've got I don't know, Philip, and we'll say he's employee 3, and I don't know, we'll say he's in IT. Okay, once you're done, you don't have to worry about the last nulls. Now, nulls, if you don't know, nulls mean there's nothing in there. So I could actually make a null, which is okay. I could have a null here. Remember I said all these are allowed to have nulls? So I could make, employee 8, and I can null, and that's fine. That'll work. We just go here. Once we're done, you hit close. It'll all save. You right-click on, go back here, right-click, and you can say select top 1,000 rows. This will pop up. It'll run the query, and let me expand out for you. Let me move the screen again for you here so you can see. And there's the answer to everything I typed in. And you'll see when I said top 1,000, when I randomly hit it, and notice it comes up with this select top 1,000. Watch if I change this to select top 2. I hit top 2, and I go execute. All right. Now you notice again, now let me roll so we can see. Now you'll see we have, only 2, just the top 2. But this created the SQL already for you, so it just ran the SQL here for the employee, and it also sets it up here with it gave you the database plus schema plus table name. You don't have to have all that, so one thing you can do, and it's a standard, there's a couple options. And let's go ahead, let's just create a new query, and this will be the last thing we'll do. So we're going to go over here, we're going to hit the new query button. There's all kinds of stuff up here. Eventually I'll show you how to use most of the stuff in here, but not worry about it. New query. Now, there's 2 things you can do here when you create a new. First thing you can do, one option is to literally say use, and I'm just going to change databases just so you can see how it works. And notice it has an option there, it kind of follows. If I hit use Sandbox and I hit the execute button, now look up here. Notice my database changed to this, changed to Sandbox. So if I tried to actually look at this table now, if I said select star, that means select everything, and I said select star from employee table, this is going to fail. It's going to fail because we're not looking in the right database. We're looking in my Sandbox. Hold on, I'm going to, sorry about that. Didn't hit the mute button in time. All right, anyway, hold on, I got another one. All right, so what we want is our database. So I could go ahead and type in the name of our database here, or you'll notice here you can go ahead and just drag it over, and it's there. And I could get rid of that, or I could just go over to here and I could drag this down, and I could open this up, and I could go to my database I want there. Now when I say select star from employee table, I'm going to get results. And hold on, I'll let you see. It came up. There's my results. All right. So that's a quick introduction to SQL Server. What we did, we installed it. We got the developer edition. Remember, you cannot just if you get developer, don't use it for anything that makes money, because then you're breaking license. You can use SQL Express for that. We got it. We installed it. We got SQL Server Management Studio. We connected to our database, and we connected to SQL Server. We created a new database. We created a table, and we populated it. Okay. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining me. And again, check out my website. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. Come on back. I'll make some more. Give me any comments below, and I'll see what I can do about making some new videos for you. But thank you very much. This is Ben Larson with Analytics for All.